We respectfully request the Sangha great virtues for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tận tình, vì thứ pháp vui cấp nhất thiết chúng sanh, tịnh chuyên diệu pháp luân, giáo đạo hạ môn. Như há liêu sanh thoát tư ly khổ đạc lạc, tập chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Nam mô Sananto Chuchero Ye Alahadi Samyao Sanputo Siet. Nam mô Đa Tát Tha Tô Già Đa Già A La Ha Đề Tam Miệu Tam Bồ Đà Đóa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu shang sheng sheng wei miao fa, bai jian wan jian nan zao yu, wo jin jian wen de shou chi, yuan jie ru lai zhe shi yi. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Great Master Ching Liang, Great Master YongHua, all good monks and nuns, and all good advisors of Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨、精良大士、师父上人、各位出家人、各位善知识Emitofuo. Chư Phật Bồ Tát kính thưa Thanh Lương Đại sư và Thượng Kiên Hoa, quý thầy cô, cả quý vị thiện sư Thích Ca Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone, today is the 12th of August 2022. We are here to continue discussing the door number 2 of the prologue to the Avatamsaka Sutra prepared by Master Ching Liang. We're discussing that door number 2 is about the stores and the teachings containing it. So we're talking about the current store number 2. Store, which is the Sutra store. And the great Master Ching Liang discussing the meaning of the word sutra, or the Sanskrit word is sutra, which has multiple translations. It has multiple meanings. So we're on slide 389. Taken together, the above 5 meanings do not go beyond stringing together or attracting.
总上五义，不出贯摄。
Okay. The commentary slide 90. If you look at, so far they discussed, the Great Master discussed the 5 different meanings of the word sutra. They could be translated into English, into Chinese from Sanskrit, but those 5 meanings can be summarized as into 2, stringing together and attracting. 91. And therefore, the Sutra Ground Shastra Part 1 says, it strings together and attracts, and so it is called sutra.
故佛地论第一云：能贯能摄， 故名为经。
Okay, 92. So the master, who is very erudite, he says, I tell you what, it's not just my imagination. What I wrote this prologue here as a survey of the Avatamsaka teachings, which is the most profound teaching. This is the level geared towards the 10th ground bodhisattvas and up. Okay, therefore, I'm basing all this, my prologue, my commentary on the other Buddhist works. And in particular, there's a shastra called the Buddha Ground Shastra. And part 1, it says, when it strings together and attracts, and therefore it's called sutra. Okay, strings together here, remember, has the connotation of linking successively. You sing one, and take in the next one, and next one, and next one, and so forth. So you have a consecutive order. So the Buddha, when he explained the Buddhist principles to teach us, is that me or you? I hear hello somewhere. Oh, okay, it's me. Sorry. Okay. This lady says, hello? And she sounds so helpless. I couldn't ignore her. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so it strings together the principles of the Buddhist profound teachings. The Buddhist teaching is because of our limited capacity to understand. We cannot understand, we can only understand so much. Therefore, the Buddha says, I will prepare you, I will build it up for you. Okay, I'm going to express my Buddha knowledge, my Buddha wisdom in the forms of building blocks. And this is his ingenuity. So he explains sutras to teach us about what we need to know in order to become just like him. And therefore, these sutras strings together these principles that you need to understand in order to open your wisdom, your Buddha's wisdom. Okay? So, yes, 8.
From Diego, if below 3rd stage Arhat go to see King Yama, what happens when the 4th stage Arhat and above leaves the body?
Below 4th stage Arhat, you need to still go see King Yama. Okay? When you're 4th stage Arhat or higher, you consider to be enlightened in Mahayana. Therefore, you're beyond the jurisdiction of King Yama. King Yama is for the people who are below such levels. When you're 4th stage Arhat or higher, you can get to choose to go wherever you wish, except for the Arhats and Pratyeka Buddhas. They are much more limited in number of choices. Whereas when you're enlightened, you can choose to go practically anywhere you wish. Yes. 3.
I have a quick question. If someone that is more than stage 4 and they commit murders, for example, do they still go anywhere, or they have to see King Yama for the murder they committed?
They what? They murder?
Or anything like that they did, they violate precept like that. Do they still have to see King Yama, or?
Why do you want to know? This is the Buddhist thing. We don't discuss Buddhist things with non-Buddhist people. But in general, above those levels, these are special individuals. the rules are different for these individuals. So therefore, since you are not among that elite class, it doesn't make sense for me to explain those states for you. It doesn't pertain to you anyway. Okay? When you get there, you'll find out for yourself. Okay? But the objective of Buddhism is very clear. The first phase is for you to get into that elite class so that we can really train you. Until that happens, it's very difficult to train you at all. You simply don't listen. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how smart you are, how devoted you are. You still have blind spots. You still have bursts of stupidity that it's impossible to teach you. Okay? And that's why what we try to do is bring you to fourth stage Arhat or higher. Then to me, unlike the Chinese, which is to me disappointing, the Chinese teaching, because I read up on the Chinese teaching, Buddhist teaching, and they say all those things that somehow, to me, distort the picture of the fourth stage Arhat, so higher. The fourth stage Arhat, higher meaning that to me, practically, is that you are trainable, you're malleable. Because what happens below that, there's still an ego of yours that will get in the way. You cannot go beyond your ego. Your ego can allow you to go so far, can do so much, and then it takes over, and there's nothing we can do. So that's why we, at the low levels, it's critical that we help you overcome your ego. And once your ego is no longer in the way, and then it's a lot more, you're a lot more malleable, so you're a lot more receptive. Below that, you may be receptive, but there will be times where you totally are out of whack. And there's nothing we can do. Buddhism, we cannot force you to do anything against your wish. If as long as still that ego there, it says, no, I'm not listening to you. I may like you, I may respect you, but I ain't doing it. What are you going to do? Nothing Buddha can do to you. Nothing whatsoever. Buddha says, do this, do that. This is to your benefit. Stop hurting yourself. This is good for your daughter. This is good for your husband. But you don't listen. What are we to do? Nothing we can do. Whereas when you get the fourth stage Arhat, when you say, do this, you're more likely, more willing to listen. Okay? Because if you don't, we teach you to recognize your blind spots, and therefore you can be taught. You are trainable. Below that, your blind spots will blindside you. There's nothing we can do. So that's why you're undependable. Okay? Look at your spouses. They may love you to death, but one moment, the next moment, they will drop you. Okay? They may love you. They may, swear to God that they'll be there for richer, for poorer, through sickness, through health. What is it? What else? What else did you swear? For richer, for poorer, all those things. Okay? But even though you say those things to her, she shouldn't take yourself seriously, because you will, when your ego gets in the way, none of that matters. You can swear to death, but it won't matter at all. So we Buddhists know that. That's why we don't take your vows and your, for richer, poorer, forever, whatever. We don't take it literally. We you cannot follow through. It's his life. And that's why, for us, to really be able to help you, we need to bring you to fourth stage Arhat. Then the real training begins. Okay? And furthermore, in Buddhism, the first stage Arhat is a very, very special case where once you get the first stage Arhat, you naturally will progress towards fourth stage, okay? Automatically. Nothing can stop you anymore. That's why first stage Arhat is very important. However, it's still quite a ways. I cannot wait for you to get the fourth stage Arhat when you get the first stage. I'd be dead by then, okay? And I'm very impatient. That's why I teach you Chan, but I don't do Chan because I'm too impatient for Chan. Chan says, what's the matter with me? Why am I not enlightened yet? That kind of thing, okay? So I give up. But you cannot do that. When you practice Chan, that will increase your patience. Okay, I'm beyond Chan already. I'm no longer patient. Chan cannot increase my patience anymore. Okay, so that's why to me, I pay more attention to fourth stage Arhat. I remember when we went to universities, and I heard, for example, that the big shot professors, who used to get paid a lot. In my times, long time ago, they get paid $200,000 to work a few hours a week. They play tennis in the undercovered court in the Midwest, And when they play tennis, the next two courts are empty because they don't want to be bothered with your balls, tennis balls, things like that. And I was be so impressed by them. And they said, I have no interest in teaching the undergraduate. Even master's degree have no interest. Only you, PhD, would be of interest to me. That's the same thing, same kind of thing. The PhD students are more dedicated and they have some potential, some wisdom already. They're willing to work hard, and therefore the time is better spent. Whereas if these hotshot professors spend time on the undergrads and so forth, even master's degree, these are terminal people. They don't go very far, So it's the same thing for us. Until you get to fourth stage Arhat, it's too much work. Okay, so that's why fourth stage Arhat is a very special animal for us. Okay, I used to believe from the teachings, especially from the Buddha's teachings, that fourth stage Arhat is beyond studies and they're perfect and so forth. It's not true. Okay, those are not the real fourth stage Arhats. Fourth stage Arhats is like Americans. Americans, they're poor Americans like me, beggars and so forth. And the rich Americans like Mr. Buffet, okay? You cannot compare the two, right? We are a lot wiser than Buffet. We do the right things. We don't, sacrifice our integrity for money, profits, like the Catholics. Just kidding. Okay? How do we get there again? So that's why fourth stage Arhat will receive special considerations, special attention from the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Below that, it's like, you need to wait for them to mature. Okay? Help them mature. If not, have to wait for them. Any questions? So that's why it's my hope that many of you get to fourth stage Arhats or higher. Okay? Yeah. And for some reason, I don't get it. Why Master Xinhua lay people disciples? There aren't that many fourth stage arhat from what I can tell. Okay? So we'll change that. I want many of you lay people to be fourth stage arhats or higher. How is that? Hello? I'm talking to you. Don't applaud when you don't mean it. Okay? Yes, sir, too. I mean, you until you get the fourth stage arhat, I can't have fun with you. I can only insult you. Okay? And then you get offended, you leave. When a fourth stage arhat, I insult you, and you want to leave, I say, hey, wait a minute. Then you listen. But below that, whatever happens, you're not going to listen to me. Yeah. So, not much hope for you. Yes, sir, too.
Is it possible to reach a state of renunciation of like the Saha world while having a family and a regular job? To reach fourth stage arhat?
No, you don't need to renounce the family. You don't need to renounce the jobs. You don't need to renounce anything. There's a process. I cannot explain it to you. I'm not willing to explain it to you. It's the paying session. But you can have a normal life. That's why I meant earlier, I said, you lay people can get the fourth stage arhat. You lay people can become enlightened. There's no reason why you can't. Okay? It's my wish that many of you will get fourth stage arhat and become enlightened, even higher. And it's possible. There's a way to do it. Okay? And I intend to do it before I die. Okay? But it's not something you can understand. You know, when you get there, you know, it's possible. Anyone else? It's fun. I mean, I don't know how to else explain it to you. For you right now, you know, you are so attached to your money, to your woman, to your job, to your food. What else are you attached to? Your dog. Yeah? Some of you, cats, sleep, children, yeah? Your parents, okay? And so forth. So you're so attached to those things that you are miserable. Look at this woman. She came up to me. The husband is sick. You know, has been sick all these years. He's got worse recently, and she says, oh my God, I can't live without you. What's the matter with you? You're old enough. Drop him. You suffer enough for him already. What is the matter with you? Huh? So anyway, you can love him, but you can drop him too. When it's time to drop them. Yeah. And that's a middle way. Oh, you bet. So this woman here, she's smiling, she's laughing, she's look like she's so detached, but as soon as the husband feels bad, oh, I can't, don't leave me, honey, don't leave me, honey, I cannot live without you. Ooh. Huh? Come on. That's because she's not fourth stage arhat yet. If she's fourth stage arhat, I say, okay, bye. You die? Die. It's a lot faster. Yeah. Is there a question too?
That's what I was saying, that like, I feel like there's a way to reach a fundamental level of peace and alignment in the temple. But like when faced with family issues, it's hard to stay in that type of alignment that I think would lead down to the path of fourth stage arhat, or even second.
And that's called a middle way. Because sometimes when you're unencumbered, you can be yourself. When you're owe someone, you have to slave for them. That's just life. It's called the middle way. The middle way doesn't mean that you above it and therefore no one can touch you. The middle way is that when you owe people, you have to pay them off. You have to pay them back. When they're not aware you're around, then you can be yourself. That's a middle way. Okay? The middle way doesn't mean that you are, you're above it all and, you don't love your husband anymore. Love your husband until he doesn't pay attention and drop him. Send him to the Pure Land. What are you waiting for? That's a middle way. Okay? Yeah. The middle way is you learn how to do it better. Because what happens is that unless you deal with it properly, you add more suffering on top of yourself to the point where you can no longer handle it. And no one can help you. And this is a problem. When Master Hsuan Hua was around, he was able to help us out. And I really, really hate myself for missing that opportunity. I wish I knew better. That someone told me, hey, there's the greatest teacher there is. Stop wasting your life. Go there and learn, okay? And bring your problems to him. He'll help you solve your problems, okay? After he died, I brought my problems to all his disciples. None of them are going to help me. It pisses me off, if you know what I mean. It reminds me of the nasty Easterners in New York. It pisses me off. and I missed the boat, okay? Because you don't realize, and I feel for you, because I used to be like that. I used to be so confused, how to fight with my ex-wife. I don't know what to do. Because she hurt so much. And when I divorced her, it hurts even more. It hurt like that for years. And if I knew, it could be solved just like that. And that's what people such as Master Hsuan Hua can do for us. That's what I hope to be able to do for a lot more people in the future. It's so cool to be able to help others. Because then you realize how much people are suffering. Look at the woman. I don't see her laugh anymore. She's, my husband is hurting. How can I laugh anymore? This is how we all live. We're so miserable. Because you look at your spouse, you look at your friend, you look at your girlfriend, you look at, the people you really care for, they're suffering. They really are suffering. Suffering everywhere. Whether it's the price of gas, now it's the price of groceries, job, people are unhappy now with the jobs and so forth. There's so much suffering. There's so much misery. And only through Buddhism can you learn to resolve those problems yourself. Okay? In her case, for example, her husband is suffering. You can never, no one can be above the birth pains, okay? The aging pains, okay? Aging is a very painful process, okay? Look at yourself in the mirror. The hair turns whiter every day, okay? You have more wrinkles. If you're a woman, it's one of the most frightening things. You watch yourself in the mirror as you put on your foundation and your makeup and see one more wrinkle. Oh my God, I'm a little bit older than before. No one wants me anymore. All the men want for the women, young women. Not true? Okay? So The aging process is such a scary, terrifying process. There's nothing you can do. And furthermore, it's compounded by sickness. Your body is where your sicknesses are being housed right now. It's a matter of time before they manifest. Okay? You cannot. No one can be above that. And finally, we all have to die. What are you going to do? You send him to the Pure Land. Okay? You suffer enough your entire life now. Look at your entire life. It's a lot more pain and suffering than pleasure. When are you going to wake up? Don't ever come back here. Go to the Pure Land. In one life, and you never suffer again, in one lifetime, you become a Buddha. Better than Forse Rahat, better than Bodhisattva. He'll become a Buddha, guaranteed. Why are you so attached to him? What's the matter with you? Let him go. Okay? So anyway, you're so confused, you're so hurt, you're so attached that you cannot see clearly. I'm telling you that because until you become enlightened, until you have the wisdom, you cannot really help anyone see more clearly. I begged and begged for help at his temples, my master's temples. No one bothered helping me because they cannot help themselves. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to train most of you to be able to help others, just to get back at life. You, well, hopeless son. You're too skinny. You have to work on your shoulders. Can I teach you how to do shoulder exercises to make them wider? You're going to be like 6 foot tall and taller, and your shoulder is about the same as the woman's waist. 24 inches. We're going to all be in big trouble. Okay? Okay? You should not be suffering. You should plan to send your husband to the Pure Land, that's it. Sooner the better. He's suffering too long now, too much. You have to think big picture. Where were we again? No one cares. Yeah, anyway. So, the Buddhas, he understands that you cannot grasp the big picture, so he has to string these concepts together in a form of sutras so that you begin to see the big picture like a big puzzle. Okay? So it's kind of a cool thing. The Buddhas in each sutra, each type of teaching, he strings certain principles together. Those principles are from wisdom. Okay? So that's why they're called sutras. His sermons are called sutras for those reasons. They are strung together to help us understand and put an end to our suffering. That's why the one I noticed, for example, the boy there in the back, when he was when he was a novice, and he's suffering so much, severe depression and so forth. Okay, I let him suffer, and then on top of his suffering, I added more suffering. I tortured him some more, and got to the point where he couldn't take it anymore. So he said, "Master, why am I doing this? It's more suffering than before. I thought before he came to the temple, he liked meditating in a temple. He loved, oh my God, this temple's meditation is so good. And then he said, I should do it more professionally. So he became a novice. So then I started torturing him. The real training begins. Okay? For you lay people, it's different. We are very nice and gentle to you. Because you bring the rice, you bring the tea, and you bring all the money and so forth. Novices, they are basically dead weight. So we give them special treatment. Okay? So the kid is tough. He hung in there for 3 or 4 years. How long were you a novice, huh, boy?
Master for the total of 4 years.
4 years. And he's totally miserable for 4 years. And he resented more and more and more and more. Until one day he says, enough is enough. There's no end to this. He plans to make it worse and not make it better at all. You're damn right. I made it worse. So he did the smart thing, he quit. Okay? And that's my plan. My plan is to have him go out and work for 3 years. It is exactly as I foresaw it. So, because the things that you need to learn from life, because our life in a temple is very sheltered. We take care of everything. We shield you from a lot of things. But you need to go out there for life to mistreat you and see how you experience how tough life really is. And then you miss us. You say, oh my God, Master is so kind and nice after all. And so the one thing he passed, one test he passed, is that when he left, he was very resentful, but he did not retaliate. Most losers would retaliate against Master. They said, he's so mean, he is so and so. I never realized a monk could be that mean. You said it, okay? And he did one thing, is that he passed the test of kindness. If you learn all these skills, you develop all these skills so that you can be your animal self, animalistic self, and hurt someone because you're angry, then you don't deserve to be trained. All the skills you acquire is to help others, not to help ourselves. We have these ideals where we're out to change the world, make a difference in the world. In every one of us, in your corner, my corner, everyone's corner, we're out to change the world, make a difference in the world. No one has to know, but that's what we do. Okay? And in order to do that, you cannot harm others. You cannot intentionally harm others. You intentionally harm others, you have to deal with me. Because I'm the one who trained you. You harm others, I will strip you of all the skills I trained you. I gave you. All of it. So that you may not harm. Use what I taught you to harm others. To the boy did something right. He's a good boy. Okay? And let me tell you, there's a point to this. The point of this is now he has a chance to look at sutras. Because sutras will give you joy in life. Sutra is so beautiful. It renders your soul more generous, more forgiving. Grows your heart, fills with compassion. That's what sutras do. So as soon as he touched the sutras, went to translation, he's transformed. There's a magic to this. It's not talk. I don't look like you. I don't look at people like you. Look at hair, style, and clothing, and car, the kind of car you drive, and the thickness of your wallet. I look at your heart. I make sure I test your heart. Yes, sir. Was there a question number 2?
Master, what do Buddhists do when it's time to teach children about how life is suffering is part of life? Because it seems like that's a real rough thing to teach a child.
You cannot teach a child that. All you can do is be yourself. Teaching children is very simple. You teach by example. Children absorb everything you do. I give an example. When the parents bring the children to the temple, I don't look at the parents, I look at the children. And I can tell a lot about the parents from the way the children behave. Okay? Why? Because the children look up to the parents naturally, and they emulate the parents and absorb the parents. Everything they do, they say, they feel, they think, okay? The parents, how the parents behave, how the parents are, all children absorb it, except for a few special cases. So that's how you teach children. Now you know that process. That's how you teach children. You want children to be a certain way, you yourself have to be that way first. Then the children who hangs around you will be just like you. You don't realize it when you bring children to the temple. Notice how the children are drawn to certain people and stay away from other types of people. Okay? I watch it too. I say, oh, that girl there, it's not working. Whatever I do to her is not working. Okay? So in order to teach children, since they are children, you cannot reason with them. You cannot argue with them. You can only influence them by your being, by your behavior. Okay? So you cannot tell them, for example, life is hard, life is suffering. No, children, you cannot teach them that yet. What you want to teach children is the fundamentals, such as respectfulness, such as kindness, okay? Such as not lying, and so forth. Those simple virtues of human beings, they can absorb it. It's not until later then you can talk to them some more. It's too premature to talk to them about suffering, okay? Children, I feel strongly about this, children are supposed to have fun. Okay, they come to the temple, they have fun. I love to have chocolate or things to give them because it makes, it paints a smile on their face. That's fun. Yes, sir.
How do you explain to adults that life is suffering? Because there's so many adults who believe that if I just do enough or try enough or control enough, that I'll be happy. And I try to tell, not to meddle, but try to tell them, that's not true.
Why don't you tell them anything at all? Let them be. Remember I just told you, they're not 4th-stage arhat yet. There's nothing you can do. Not a whole lot. So, don't try so hard to change them. Fundamentally, we don't try to change people. They have to change themselves. Okay? And the way for them to change themselves is they need to want to change themselves. If they're successful, if they have make a lot of money, if they have everything they want, okay, they get their ways, then they are not willing to change. Why do you stay away from such people? Let them be. Let them have fun. But when they're in trouble, when they've been drinking too much, when they finally admit to you that, the stress of a job, maybe it's so glamorous from the outside, or the houses, the cars, and the titles, and, and the clothing and so forth, and the restaurants and so forth. But deep down, when they go home, they're so stressed out, they need to have a glass of wine. And they need to just to keep up with appearances. It's miserable. You don't realize these rich people, these powerful people, they are miserable. They cannot hack it. The stress is too much for them. And as soon as they leave the house, they put on a facade appearance, but deep down, they're rotten. I know. My brother is this one here is a successful entrepreneur, and he's pretty wealthy, I don't know how much he's worth nowadays. The last time I checked was like 50 million or whatever. For an immigrant, it's not bad. First generation is not bad, okay? And that's from conning and stealing from others, okay? And it's not bad, okay? And no training, really no really training at all. And having his own company and so forth, and stealing left and right from whatever, ideas from others and so forth, and put it together and con people, okay? And so this guy here, I look at him, I see sickness. The guy could have a heart attack and be paralyzed, okay? Half his body. And when it happens, most likely the wife would leave him, okay? And then the children would tear each other apart, fighting over their inheritance, okay? And they don't like him because he misleads them, he cheats them, he cons them as well. If you con others, you also con your family. I see such a miserable son of a bitch. And he's very proud of it. He's proud of his success. He even conned me. He came to me when I was Blue Mountain Temple, and he said, I like you. You're taking out our mother, but you need money. Let me give you $150,000. You hear? I said, okay, thank you so much. For me, I didn't have $5,000 back then. He gave me $350,000. I said, how many vows you want me to make to you? And guess what? It's just a con. Never gave it to me. Never intended. And you know what? Once you said you give it to me, it's accrues interest right now until he gives it to me. I have the last laugh always. Don't ever make that stupidity. The stupid thing. You promise someone to give them money, you better give it to them, because otherwise it accrues interest until you pay up. That Vietnamese boss of Ah Hong who kicked him out because he gave him a 2-week notice, I told him, don't worry, he owes you for 2 weeks' pay. Pray to God that he doesn't pay you. Let it accrue for 10 million years. You become a billionaire. Okay? You can't, these people, they're miserable. It's all facade. Okay? And don't you cannot tell them they're suffering, because say, I'm suffering. I think you're suffering more than I do. It's so true. I'm suffering more than they do. I wish I had $50 million and I can retire. Okay? So you cannot tell people, adults, that they're suffering. They will think you're crazy. You have to wait until they suffer. Then you can help them. That's why you patiently wait. You patiently develop your skills until they open their mouth and ask for help. That's why we're different. We're different because we patiently are waiting for someone, make ourselves available to help people when they need it. All the temples here is for people to access them so that when they need help, they come here, we help them. It's not for us. And guess what? They will have to ask for help. They will ask for help because they cannot handle it. Life is overwhelming for all of them. All of them. Okay, so, and when we get a little bit further, deeper into the Avatamsaka Sutra, you find out this is a tip for all of you, just for the heck of it, okay? You find out God is overwhelmed too. You know why? He has 10,000 wives who command his attention. How do you make 10,000 women happy? You see the dilemma? It's impossible to make one woman happy or one man happy, let alone 10,000. Anyway, so that's why God goes to attend lectures to look for ideas on how to solve his problems. Yes, he does. Okay? But don't tell Daniel that. It's okay. It's just between us. Okay, so we string together these principles. We also are linking living beings. I told Bao Hong there, when the time is right, you be drawn to the sutra yourself because it provides you relief and solutions and clarity of mind to help you better solve your problems. Okay? Also, the sutras are not beyond attracting. Sutras are very, very alluring. They draw us in, okay? And the sutras can also, they draw us in to support and help us, okay? And the sutras can nurture our wisdom life and lead us to the right path, to liberation, to an end of all suffering. Go ahead, Jewel Kong.
We cannot hear you. 지금 계속 소리가 안 들리네요. 예.
For what? Oh, leukemia. Okay. At least 20 years ago, he had leukemia? I don't understand. What? Donate the cell. Who donated the cell? What leukemia patient? Is someone I know? Okay, so he knows someone who has leukemia. Yes? Somebody showed up. Where? At the temple, at the house? Okay, when you donate leukemia cells, are we talking about blood donation? Are we talking about taking a knife and cutting off something? Okay. Okay. Stem cells. Okay. Okay, that's different from cells. Okay. Okay, very good. It helps. Okay. Donate his stem cells to leukemia patient. Okay. There's a match for his stem cells, and therefore this organization asked him to donate his stem cells now. Okay, now stem cells. How do you donate stem cells? You take a knife and cut it somewhere, something somewhere. Okay, Yeah, Shorty, you take a break. Let him continue. Now we can't hear
We
her.
cannot hear.
Okay. Okay. Oh, wow. How interesting. Forgive me for asking, and I never given stem cells before. I need to find out. Okay, so it sounds that sounds interesting. So they will inject him with some sort of white cells. Okay, someone's white cells for 3 years. Okay, and then 3 years later, suck out the white cells again. Yes. Are these the white cells from pigs or cats or somewhere? Where do they take the white cells to inject them into his body? I'm curious. Is a gorilla's white cell? White blood cells. And that's how they get the stem cells from, the white blood cells. I see. Okay. 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 Go ahead, WMT person. You think that you have some input? Explain yourself. What do you mean it's okay? She explained already? Okay. I still don't get it. But then again, I'm dumb. Yes, 8.
From conch, for stem cells, usually harvest involves no cutting. It either draws blood fat cells by lipo or get fluid from spine.
I can give away my fat cells. Why didn't the husband give away his fat cells? Just kidding. Okay. So the real question is, should he do it or shouldn't he do it? The answer is yes, he should do it. He has nothing to worry about. Okay? Just in case, make sure he writes the will. No, in general, it's a good idea to help others. The stem cells, it's a rather very useful thing to help others, especially if it helps them treat the leukemia. That's perfect. I mean, that's helpful. He has some medicine master protection, so he shouldn't worry too much. Okay? It's a good thing you ask. You ask and I say okay, then it should be okay. But don't quote me. Okay, anyone else? Okay. It's pretty remarkable for a young man 20 years ago. 20 years ago, he's like 16, 17 or something. And to agree to give away his with the help with the stem cell research, that's remarkable. That's pretty good. Yes, sir.
I have a question. Is sudden enlightenment is when you get enlightened without assistance, or just like automatically?
You what?
Is sudden enlightenment is when you get enlightened without assistance, or like without any studying, or?
Did anyone get what he wanted? He said, I couldn't quite hear. Yeah. Is there some vocabulary I don't know about? Huh? Repeat the question again.
Is sudden enlightenment is when someone gets enlightened?
I heard it in Saturday night. Saturday Night Fever. You saw that movie? Saturday Night Fever? John Travolta? God, where do you hang out? I feel for you. Anyway, what's life without movie? Anyway, repeat again. With Saturday Night Fever.
No, is sudden enlightenment is when someone
Is Saturday Night Enlightenment?
No. Is sudden enlightenment is when someone gets enlightened automatically?
I don't know how to put this for you. It's none of your damn business. Sudden enlightenment, of course, that's what it means. Suddenly that you suddenly become enlightened. And that's what we teach. And that's why people have been progressing very quickly, because we are excuse me, we're getting better. So here's what happened to sudden enlightenment teaching. The sudden enlightenment teaching, okay, could be the big prize, but because you're there, you listen, you may not get the big prize, but you can get a partial prize. You see? And that's why people get to improve, because of that reason. You understand? We talk about the big prize, but you only get only this far. That's why you're still improving. That's why listening to lectures, sutras, lectures, and listening to the instructional talks are very, very helpful. People don't realize it. For example, when I was at Master Shenhua's temples, we didn't have any live instructions, so we listened to the tapes of what his teachings were, okay? And so 4 years, I just listen. But I have these problems that weren't addressed. I have these problems during meditation, but his tapes didn't talk about those problems. So for 4 years, I sat and worked hard, but my problems weren't resolved. Okay? And contrast that right now when you sit and then during the talk now you ask questions about, whatever bothers you, whatever stops you, and you get help with that. And that's why you're making progress a lot quicker than without. This is what people don't realize. The instructional talks are, just between us, even more important than the sits. Yes, too.
Master, could Daniel get enlightened because he has a lot of seeds planted from listening to a lot of lectures, even if he's not Buddhist?
Yes, he can, but it will be a long time. I told him already that he will become a Buddha himself. whether he likes it or not, he'll become a Buddha. It's just that it takes a little bit longer than our people, that's all. The Buddha does not discriminate. He says, all the teaching is for everyone. Everyone gets a benefit from everything we have here. We don't say that you don't deserve it. We say you all deserve it. But the difference is that they're on a different path. They're like on a satellite path. Therefore, it takes them a little bit longer to get there. We are on the direct path ourselves. That's the difference. That's all. Yes, too.
Thank you, Master. Sometimes when I focus on certain aspects of meditation, I get like this overwhelming surge of energy, and it makes my nervous system become very unregulated. I don't know. I shake and it's more than a shake. It's like a shock. And what can I do about it?
Keep it up. Don't worry about it. It's called a state. Whatever happened is just a state that happened, a state of your mind. Just bear it and it will go away. That's all. Don't do anything. Just observe it and do nothing. Continue. Okay? Don't let it bother you. Because if that bothers you, and every single little thing in life will bother you. We're trying to train you not to be bothered by things. That's part of the training. Yes, sir. 3.
Another curiosity that I have is about what you guys call the hands and eyes Dharma. Does every branch of Buddhism practices the hands and eyes?
No.
No,
not at all. It's exclusive transmission. Only for our people.
And how does it help the practitioner, or how does it help the person that is practicing?
When you practice, you find out. It's like a treasure. It's so precious that it is like a key to your treasure. So that's why it's highly exclusive, meaning that we don't arbitrarily transmit it to others at all. In fact, I've been rather lax about it because I don't know what to do with it. I'm told to transmit. I wasn't given enough information. Now I understand more. So each transmission includes a lot of the whole system to help you practice. So, for example, my Master YongHua, is a Chinese system. Okay, from him. So our hands and eyes from me. So it's an American system. So, for example. When the Chinese come over to my temple and practice, typically I don't allow them because they cause trouble, because their system is different. I don't like it, okay? But in some cases, some of his disciples came over and learned from us and help out, so we made exceptions. But typically, even like a second patriarch comes over and says, "Get out. You're not. This is not your place. Get out. Okay, this is our side. You don't belong. Okay, it's that simple. We're that strict. A lot stricter than you realize. And so, and similarly, when we go over there, we practice. We don't practice with them, even though we want to practice with them. So we're very exclusive. We have different tracks, if you will. Yes.
And why is it called hands and eyes? Where does it come from, the hands and eyes name?
Because we have 1,000 hands and 1,000 eyes. The more hands you have, the more weight you can lift. You can think about it. You can work on your lats at the same time, work on your shoulders, You work on your biceps and everything. Hey, 1,000 times faster. And you imagine you have 1,000 eyes. You can see in front of you, on your side, on the left, on the right, on the back of your head, and everything. See, you don't have to turn. You said, "Oh, what are you doing behind me? Get out. Don't get too close." See? Kind of cool to have 1,000 eyes. And let me tell you, and you don't dare make any comments about it, those 1,000 eyes do not need any eyeglasses. We never wear glasses. Only losers wear glasses. The eyes are no good. Your 1,000 eyes are very, very 20/20. Okay? All right. Shall we do some serious Dharma for a while before we close for the evening? 93, because the Buddha's sagely teaching strings together, threads through, attracts and holds the meanings that should be spoken and the beings who are taught.
以佛圣教贯穿摄持所应说义，所化身故。
Okay, so it's called sutras because he says the Buddha's is sagely teaching. The teaching from a sage that is designed to benefit us. Okay, by merely listening to it, you benefit tremendously already. And if, on top of listening to it, you put those things into practice, then you benefits are far greater. When you listen to instructional talks, when you listen to the sutra lectures, you don't just listen, sit there and laugh at my jokes. Listen and say, how does it apply to me? If you do that, okay, whether it's instructional talks of Chan or Pure Land or sutra lectures, you progress a lot quicker. Okay, that's why it's called sagely teaching. Okay, the teaching from wisdom. If you look at the principles that you hear and you reflect upon yourself, will open your wisdom. If you listen, you don't do anything, and say, oh yeah, okay, it sounds good. But you yellow and white, I'm not going to listen to you. Okay, you're Buddhist, I'm Catholic. I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to do anything about it. Then you got really very little. But on the other hand, I've seen a lot of my disciples who listen to sutras, lectures, and to instructional talks, and they reflect upon themselves and say, I want to apply that to my life. That's why they become fourth stage Arhat and higher a lot quicker than otherwise. Doesn't matter where you are. It could be away from me 1,000 miles, but that's what they do. That's a 6-page chart said. If my disciples listen to my instructions and apply it to them, to their lives, then even though they're 1,000 miles away, they're just by me. It's as if they're near me. Okay? But those who are so close to me and don't apply what I teach them, then they could be close, but 1,000 miles away. And I have proof. I have people who listen and then they apply those, what they hear, what they heard, into their lives. That's why they improve so quickly. I'm no longer shy about it. When I first started teaching, I didn't want to tell people. I was waiting for the second page chart to come out. I simply planted the seeds to wait for him to say, hey, okay, this is what I want to teach you. This is what you should do. But the guy hasn't never announced himself. I cannot wait for him anymore. After 25 years, if I wait for another 25 years, I'd be dead. So that's why I'm telling you, okay? Follow my instructions. Before, and I apologize to my early disciples. It took them 3 years, 4 years before they get to the formless realm, to get to first stage arhatship and so forth. It took them a long time because I never told them, okay, what I say is true. What I say, you should apply it. I simply was saying, hey, these are the foundation. You wait for the so-called sage to come out and teach you. I'm in no position to teach you. But the guy never showed up. So I fail you, yes. It's no longer the case. I'm telling everyone, learn, and whatever I tell you, apply. That's how you improve so quickly. Okay, so they string together those teachings, okay, in a very small scale compared to Buddha's teachings, which is for all the living beings. My teachings are geared towards you, so that I string together, thread through, attracts, okay, those of you who are in need to improve, in need to change, okay, so that all these instructions have the meaning that are being spoken so that you can break through and put an end to your suffering. And that's at a very small scale compared to the Buddha's teaching. So when we study the Buddha's teaching, it benefits you far greater than my own words. And we all benefit from this. This is why we're doing this. Okay? You don't realize it. It may be only a handful of you, but this is being recorded, it's being made available, it's being explained in English. There's no Chinglish here. Okay? And it's available for you to ask questions. So this will benefit a lot of people in a different way than Master YongHua. Master YongHua's teaching was originally in Chinese. The translation is a filter that chopped off about 70% of it. I mean, to be fair, 30% of it. So that only 70% is left. So the English translation, a lot of it is lost. And you don't realize that our stuff is a lower level of Master YongHua, but it's 100% English. On the other hand, the Vietnamese gets 30% chopped off. Now the reverse is true. So you don't realize that's how important it is, because it's being explained in English, so that more people in the future will benefit from these sagely teachings from the Buddha. Okay? Thank you, everyone. We stop here tonight, and we do the rebirth transference.